My next guest is watching developments closely in the region. Yuval Steinitz is Israel's Minister of Finance. He's also a former chair of the country's Foreign Affairs and Defense Committees. Minister, good to have you with us on Bloomberg.
Good afternoon.
Now, what is your reaction so far to what you've seen in Egypt and President Mubarak's statement this evening in Egypt saying he is not going to run again for re-election and that he is going to encourage a dialogue, a conversation with all the elements that are calling for change in Egypt?
First, I must confess that those events caught us by surprise. Nobody, even in Israel, did anticipate such scale of events, of riots, of demonstration in Egypt. And it's really very impressive to see so many millions of Egyptians demanding more democracy and more freedom. One can feel sympathy. On the other hand, the final outcome of those events is not clear yet. I mean, you know, sometimes democratic procedures can lead to very difficult results. We cannot avoid remembering what happened in Iran 30 years ago. It started with massive riots and demonstrations by both secular and religious groups against the Shah. It's ended with Islamic dictatorship. In the Palestinian authorities, there were free elections 5 years ago. Hamas, a terrorist organization, took over. In Algeria, in Lebanon, the Hezbollah. So, you know, we always prefer democracy and we preach for democracy, but we have still to wait and see if what we shall see is really true democratization, which is good for Egyptians, for the world, for Israel, or just a democratic transition to some kind of Islamic dictatorship, which is bad. Anyhow, it's too early to call. And we will have to wait and see, and we are looking south with some concern, of course.
Now, what about the notion that democracy, we know, is messy? It can be very messy at times. I mean, just looking at the turmoil, in many cases, forming a government in Israel is a difficult challenge for many of the politicians there. Is this something that you feel is just a transition period? I mean, you're a student of philosophy, in addition to being a Minister of Finance. Is this a process by which people can actually gain the kind of representative government that you describe?
No, I don't know. It's not clear yet what is going to happen in Egypt. And everybody is looking with amazement and waiting to see the results. But what I want to emphasize first, although we always prefer democracy, there is no guarantee that the result of democratic procedures is always in the positive. We saw it in Iran, we saw it in Lebanon. Hezbollah is increasing its power, another terrorist organization. We saw in Algeria that the fundamentalists took over through democratic procedures, and we have to wait and see what's going on in Egypt. One thing is clear. If you look on the entire Middle East, you see one spot of democracy and stability. And this is the little tiny Jewish state. Yeah? This is stable. Everything else seems to be unstable, quite volatile. And therefore, I believe that people now will understand even better why Israelis are so keen about their security needs. We like to achieve peace with our Palestinian neighbors. With our Palestinian neighbors, we are ready to make concessions for that. But now people will understand why we are so keen about security arrangements, about demilitarization, of giving back territories, about guarantees, because you can never know what will be the developments in the Middle East. And we have to survive in this very, very difficult and problematic neighborhood. So this is...
just briefly, King Abdullah in Jordan dismissing the government. Any reaction to that?
No. This happens once and again in Jordan. It's happened many times in the past. I hope that Jordan is stable.
You were speaking about the change of government that has been announced in neighboring Jordan by King Abdullah. What were your thoughts there about the change that is happening
I
day
just
by
wanted
day?
to emphasize the point that there is no true Western-style democracies in the Arab world yet, unfortunately. But still we should distinguish between different kind of regimes. There are some regimes, like in Jordan, that are close to the West, that are cooperating in the war against terrorism, cooperating with the United States, with the Western world, with Israel, trying to prevent terrorism, and this is very important. And peace and stability are very important in the region, not less than democracy.
Now, peace and stability, while they in many cases have been in short supply in the region, multiple wars being fought since 1948, how has that molded the Israeli economy? Has it prompted Israeli businessmen to seek opportunities elsewhere and really become almost like a springboard to invest in regions outside of the Middle East, Asia, Latin America, and of course, North America?
North America, well, the results are speaking for themselves. Israel did manage to create a vibrant, very successful economy, and it's became even more evident following this global crisis. And the way that Israel managed to handle the global crisis, 2010, we saw significant recovery in the Israeli economy. We were growing 4.5%, faster than any other Western country. We did manage to bring unemployment back to the pre-crisis level, and the results, generally speaking, are pretty good.
You've been marked now as a developed nation, developed market.
Yeah, and we were also accepted finally to the OECD. And we shifted for two-year budget. This is a new innovation. I'm confident, by the way, that one-year budget is totally unreasonable on the level of states, and that all countries, sooner or later, will shift to 2 years budget. It's give you more time, not just for planning, but especially for implementation. You don't have to run after your tail. You have enough room also to implement your budget and your plan, and to think even and to plan for longer term, even beyond 2 years, because you can breathe, you can take a deep breath, you can look at the situation. This is very important. So we use the crisis not just to handle it, but even to improve our economic management, to be accepted to the OECD, to shift to be the first country to exercise two-year budget. I'm confident other countries will follow. And now we are working very hard in order to promise to secure a new growth cycle. We believe that if we should take the right steps, and we are already taking some, we will be able to grow between 5% and 6% also in the future. A main effort has been done to preserve our leading position in the field of high-tech and advanced industries. And also we came with very inclusive program to secure the future development for the next 10 or 20 years of the Israeli high-tech and advanced industries.
All right. I want to thank you very much, Minister of Finance Yuval Steinitz. I didn't get to even tell people that you were once kicked out of high school for arguing too much, but it all turned out okay. So I want to thank you.